Hey there, sixth grade guys and gals. We're going to go ahead with our next history lesson. We only have two more history lesson videos together. We'll have this video, then one more video next week. We're only going to meet on Tuesday and Wednesday. I know I originally told you we'd meet Thursday, but we don't have class next Thursday. RenWeb classes are over by Wednesday, so I can't assign you work any later than Wednesday, which means we'll just call it a day after Friday, or today's work, which is Friday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday next week. But make sure you have your notes, something to write with, something to write on. We are going to have this video and then one more of a few notes you're going to want to take. You'll have a final quiz and final assignment to do with this topic. But today we're going to talk about the fall of Rome. Yesterday we talked about the troubled Roman Empire, some problems leading to their fall. Today's video is going to be about the fall of Rome. So again, you are going to want to have your notes, something to write with, something to write on. Take the notes, follow along. You're going to want these for your quiz and some of the other work you'll do to finish up as we finish out our year of history and even our conversation on Rome. But again, let's dive into the fall of Rome. Our guiding question for the day: what effect did Germanic invaders have on the Roman Empire? So I'll read that again for you. What effect did Germanic invaders have on the Roman Empire? So yesterday we started to talk about the troubles with the late Roman Empire. We started to talk about troubles they were having on the inside, troubles they were having on the outside, different conflicts that they were having. And specifically, the big thing we're going to be looking at today is Germanic invaders and the effect that the outside invaders had on the Roman Empire. We'll talk about a few in-house empire problems as well, but the big stuff is going to be outside invaders. That's what we're going to be talking about, and this is our guiding focus question. And these outside invaders, again, we started to talk about them yesterday, these little troublemakers on the edge of the empire, kind of slinging stones at Rome, like a slingshot, slinging, fighting, taking little territories, but now it's going to become a big problem and a huge problem that eventually leads to the complete downfall of Rome, but we're going to get into that today. First, I want you to write down your notes that Constantine, a general, became emperor in AD 312. I'll read that again for you, and it's up there for you to write down. Constantine, a general, became emperor in AD 312. So to start out this time period, we're in the late Roman period, and there's this new general who comes to power. His name is Constantine. Now remember, there was a lot of different emperors and people in power in Rome at this time. The newest one, his name's Constantine. He was a general, but then he becomes the official emperor of the Roman Empire in AD 312. It's still the Roman Empire at this point, and he becomes the emperor, or the ruler of that empire in AD 312. Constantine's really similar to Diocletian, which we talked about when we talked about the troubles with the late Roman Empire. Diocletian was another emperor at this time. He was one that tried to reform Rome. It didn't work. Things didn't work out, but he was another general turned emperor, sort of like Constantine, so they're very similar. They have a lot of similar reforms and similar ideas. They both tried to help Rome in different ways and save it from falling down. One of the things that Constantine thought might help Rome is moving the capital, shaking things up, and moving the base of operations for Rome. So I want you to write down that Constantine moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium and named it Constantinople. I'll read that again, and it's up there for you to write down. Constantine moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium and named it Constantinople. So Constantine decided, you know what? Maybe if we move the hub of Rome, the center of the Roman Empire, our capital, maybe if we move it from Rome in this area in Italy, and maybe we move it over to Byzantium, and we're going to rename it Constantinople because it was similar to his name. He was the emperor, so it was named after him. We're going to move it and see if that helps. He thought maybe just moving it, switching things around in the empire may help a little. To give you context of where Constantine moved this capital to, so the Roman Empire, is all through this area. It has parts of Africa, Asia, Turkey. It actually dips a little bit more this way. Sorry, I'll draw a bigger circle. Sorry, I can't erase it. So it's owning this space of Europe, and they're really based in Rome, in Italy, in that region. We've talked about Italy and the geography and why they're based there. And Constantine moves it over to this area, over to really Turkey or Greece, somewhere in this area. I'll draw a big X there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but he really moves it east. He moves it east closer to the Israel area, the Middle East closer to the Asian end and the Asian side. Again, trying to switch things up, maybe help the problem, switch up the empire, and take care of some leaders with take care of some problems with some government leadership and politics. He didn't live too long after that, though. He died pretty quickly, so not much change. And you can write in your notes, after Constantine died, Theodosius was the next leader in power. I'll read it again for you. You can write it down. After Constantine died, Theodosius was the next leader in power. So Constantine's not around too long. He passes away, he dies, and then Theodosius was the next leader, the next guy to take power in the Roman Empire. Now, Theodosius realized that the Roman Empire had become very large. We've talked about how it's this incredible hulk of an empire. He realized that this empire had become very large, almost so large that it was impossible to defend and control. Theodosius realized and felt like it was too much land. They couldn't control it right anymore. They couldn't protect it. It was getting invaded. It was getting beat up and beat down. So he realized that he was going to need to do something about that. So he set up a decree and a law that the Roman Empire was going to be divided. For the first time ever, it was going to be split. So he lets out this decree and this law, and after, you can write in your notes, after Theodosius died in AD 395, the Roman Empire was divided into eastern and western parts. I'll read that again for you. It's up there for you to write down. After Theodosius died in AD 395, the Roman Empire was divided into eastern and western parts. So Theodosius passes away. He has this decree that he wants the Roman Empire divided into eastern and western parts. He wants it to be broken smaller so it's easy to govern, easy to control, easy to defend, he hopes. And after he dies, that happens. In AD 395, the Roman Empire is split. It's no longer the united, large Hulk Roman Empire. It's divided into eastern and western parts. And this is a huge turning point for history because, again, from here on out, there will never in history be a large Roman hulking empire ever again. From this point forward, even with Rome's empire divided, there's the west part and the east part, but it's divided. It's no longer the large united Roman Empire. It's split up, and one of the largest empires in history, one of the most historical empires, has started to fall as they split up and break down their power. So we see this split, and it's this great turning point in Roman history. Just like when Rome moved from a republic to empire, that was a turning point, and this is another major turning point. That wasn't all, though. So now Rome is split up into these parts. It's split into east and western parts. But remember, there's still invaders. We talked about invaders from the east portion around Persia in the Middle East. And we're also talking about invaders near the South Persian, the Germanics. Actually, I'm going to redraw and make that a little easier for you to see. So we're even talking about invaders in the northwestern part. So we have these invaders we were talking about, and those invaders are still there. So breaking up the Roman Empire may help the inside empire problems, like the government issues and the political issues and the food shortage and the economic. Those problems are helped by splitting up, possibly, but that doesn't help the problem of outside invaders. And the outside invaders took advantage of this moment. You can write down in your notes that Germanic tribes invaded Roman lands and took over many areas. This is the group from the northwestern area around where modern Germany would be. But again, you can write in your notes, Germanic tribes invaded Roman lands and took over many areas. So they seize the moment, they take the opportunity, and they start to invade Roman lands. They take areas, they take over, they come in, they start to march on Rome. They had been marching on Rome, but now they continue to press harder, to press in and take more Roman lands and more Roman area away. And this was kind of like a tug of war. The Germans aren't really the sole enemies of Rome. Actually, some of the Germanic Empire was under Rome's territory. Rome had some of them, but Rome treated them very poorly. Rome treated the Germanic people very poorly and enslaved many of them. But the Germanic people had also betrayed many Roman officers and leaders. So it's like this tug of war. Roman kind of punched Germanic tribes in the face. Germanic tribes betrayed Rome, spat in Rome's face. So it's kind of like this cat fight, tug of war going back and forth back and forth between Roman Empire parts and the Germanic tribes that are invading. But it is like a tidal wave. These Germanic tribes come. They come like a tidal wave, this powerful, unstoppable wave that's going to drown the Roman Empire. It's going to come very quickly, and the Romans aren't going to be able to overcome it. When the Germanic tribes come in, they go all over the place. So I'm going to get my drawing tool here. Let me make sure I have the right color so you can see it. So the Germanic tribes, they're coming from around the northwest area, kind of middle northwest area for the Roman Empire, but they come in this area, of course, where it's close. They take different parts of France and Spain area. They take different parts of Africa, parts of there, and of course then when they get by Africa, it's very easy for them to come up in Italy to take over Rome, where the capital originally was, where the Roman Empire started, in the Italy area. Again, they're kind of all through this area, taking over this part of Rome, really the western part of Rome, northern part, southern part, and they're just taking Roman piece by Roman piece and Roman piece. And of course, you probably know where this is going. You can write down your notes. So the Western Roman Empire completely fell when Odoacer, a Germanic general, overthrew the last Roman emperor in AD 476 and took control of Rome. I'll read that again for you. It's up there for you to write down. The Western Roman Empire completely fell when Odoacer, a Germanic general, overthrew the last Roman emperor in AD 476 and took control of Rome. Western Roman Empire, this western piece of Rome, completely fell. Odoacer, this Germanic general, comes in. These Germanic tribes are invading, and this Germanic general comes in and he overthrows the last Roman emperor in AD 476. So the last Roman emperors ran out of town, and the Germanics take control of Rome. Rome is the capital of the new Western Roman Empire. Remember, I told you earlier that they split into west and east parts. The east part continued on for a little bit. We're not going to talk about it any this year because we're about out of time. But the east part did continue on. But the main part of Rome, the Western Roman Empire, this piece completely fell. It fell to the Germanic tribes, specifically the Germanic general Odoacer. He ran the last emperor out of town in AD 476. And it wasn't hard to overthrow the emperor at the time. The emperor of the time at the area of Rome was only 14. Right, a 14-year-old kid was the emperor of Rome at that time. So the Germanic tribes and Odoacer just came in, kicked the punk out of town. The 14-year-old was ran out of town, and it was all over like that. And Rome's fallen on its face. Just like that, they fell. They've collapsed. This giant empire, this hulking empire of Rome has fell. They've dropped all their stuff, and they've become scattered. The great Roman Empire that once was will never be again. This is a great turning point in history. Just like Rome from republic to empire, when they moved to republic to empire, that was a turning point. When they divided into two empires, Western and Eastern, that was a turning point. And now they've completely started to fall, and they fell, and there is no more Rome. And this is another huge turning point. Not all of Rome is gone, though. Just because the empire is gone, there's still pieces of Rome that remained with history and remain with us to this day. I want you to write down in your notes that although the Roman Empire was gone, new Germanic rulers adopted cultural concepts from the Roman era, like the Latin language, Roman laws, and Christianity. I'm going to read that again for you. Although the Roman Empire was gone, new Germanic rulers adopted cultural concepts from the Roman era, like the Latin language, Roman laws, and Christianity. So the physical Roman Empire was gone. It was no more, and it won't be anymore. The Roman Empire was gone. But these new Germanic rulers that came in, they took concepts of culture and concepts from the Roman time, the Roman history period. They took those and kept those things like the language, the Latin language. Some people even still study and know Latin. They took concepts from Roman law. Again, even in America, we have concepts from Roman law. And they continued this with Christianity, the religion of Christianity, which started during the Roman time period. That's when Jesus walked the earth, was preaching, teaching, was crucified, buried, resurrected. The early church, that was during the Roman period. So this idea of Christianity continues, and religion of Christianity, the faith of Christianity, continues on as well in this new Germanic rulers in what will be Europe, which you'll talk about more in 7th grade Christian Europe, and how did that develop, and what happened after Rome in Europe. How did Europe become what we know it today? But these ideas continued on. Again, Roman Empire's gone. Ideas from the Roman time period still lived on and still survived, which we'll talk about more tomorrow when we get into the section we're going to call Rome's legacy. Or I'm sorry, we'll talk about more on Tuesday when we come back together, and next week we'll finish talking about Rome's legacy. So next week we're going to talk about Rome's legacy and what Rome left behind more in detail. But today our lesson was the fall of Rome, the fall of Rome. Back to our guiding question, what effect did Germanic invaders have on the Roman Empire? Well, they wiped out the empire. They came in, they took out the empire. They were the ones that invaded and took the empire and ran the last emperor of the Roman Empire out of town. They invaded the empire, took it over, ran them out of town. But they kept many of the concepts of Rome, the Roman era. Concepts, again, things like Latin language, Roman law, Christianity. And again, we'll talk more about next week about the aftermath of Rome and some of the things that Rome left behind. But that's the effect they had, again, taking over Rome, running Rome out of town, conquering the Western Roman Empire in this case. I just want to talk for a moment about your assignment before I let you go. So today you have Bible, English, math, and history. Today's your last day of English, by the way. In case you didn't know that, you'll finish up with English this week. Then next week you'll only have Bible for a day, and then math and history for 2 days. But today I'm going to have you go ahead and do an essentials worksheet. The essentials will be about the troubles in the Roman Empire, the fall of the Roman Empire, and it'll also begin to talk about Rome's legacy. I know we didn't do a video on Rome's legacy yet. That video will be up next week, but I'm going to have you go ahead and do the essentials since this is a pretty short video, so it'll give you less work to do next week. So make sure you go on LMS. You'll find the essentials there for you. It's due Friday by 11:30. The Friday that we're on by 11:30 p.m. This is Friday's video, so you'll turn it in. You'll upload it by 11:30 p.m. It's an essentials, and we'll talk about that last section that you'll hear about in your essentials, Rome's legacies. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. But that's all on LMS for you. Make sure you get that done. Take a look at that. Do the reading. Answer the questions. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for following along and taking the notes. Keep working hard. We're almost done. Only a few days left. I'm proud of all of you. I'm praying for all of you, and I'll talk to you all real soon.